Yeah, maybe the easiest would be if you just briefly describe the idea and how did you come to that idea.
Okay. So the Dove ad makeover was a move to update Dove's original, the spirit of Campaign for Real Beauty, into a digital age. So the Campaign for Real Beauty had been a broadcast creative idea with the idea of telling women, all women, that they were beautiful in some way, shape or form. And actually in the age that we live in now, simply telling women that is no longer enough. You have to find a way to show them in the places where they congregate. So that was the kind of the original spirit of the idea, and the creative idea and the strategy fell out of a very simple insight from one of the creative teams, that actually the small banner advertising on Facebook was being used to negatively advertise to women. So if you're a woman and you use Facebook, if you're a new mum, you'll get served diaper ads and ads for baby products. If you are updating your status with content about looking for a holiday, you'll get served travel ads. And if you're a woman who posts pictures of yourself in a bikini, you get served ads for boob jobs and plastic surgery, as if by magic. And to us that seemed like a situation that had to be remedied in some way, because the fact that it's a perfectly legitimate marketing tool, but it was being used in the wrong way by some advertisers, we felt. And so that was the original insight from the creative team, and the strategy then was that, having identified that there was this problem existing on Facebook, it would never have been enough to just draw attention to it in above the line media. The solution had to exist in the same medium as the problem, and Dove also had this enormous community of Facebook fans that we built up over a long period of dialogue and engagement, and through having quite a strong purpose as a brand, that we wanted to, rather than just pointing out the problem, we wanted to get them to help us solve the problem and to enlist them in some way. And so the idea that the guys came up with was about enlisting women to transform the environment in which they were advertised to and in which they existed. And once they'd hit upon that, actually the role of the strategy in many ways was figuring out the best possible way to do it. So how the ad makeover actually worked is that it was we launched with a small piece of film to our Facebook community, so growing it amongst the hardcore Dove fans. And we then invited women to use an app that let them send positive messages to other women through the Facebook advertising network. The clever part about it was the way that this app worked is, once women logged on and made an ad, that ad then paid double what you would normally pay for a media slot against the keywords that negative advertisers were using to communicate to women. So what happened is that we tried to think like our enemy, and we thought, if you were a negative advertiser, how would you be looking to reach these women? And we brought up plastic surgery, I hate my body, baking, gym, holiday, bikini diet, body, tummy tuck, all these search terms and profile topics, potential status updates and areas of interest that negative advertisers would be looking to use to get to these women. And our media buy then just overbid against these words, so we dumped our media spend against it, so that basically for the period that this was running, it would never be possible for people to negatively advertise to women using those keywords, because instead our positive messages from women to other women were being pushed out against them.
And how much did you have to overbid?
I think it was something approaching double for the keyword, but it still wasn't an enormous media spend. We just focused an area of the media budget around the idea, but that obviously Dove have a fair amount invested in social media anyway, because it offers an opportunity to talk to their fans on a one-to-one level. And the relative positive effects of investing in social media, it started off in social media. By the time the campaign had finished, it had won around 253 million free media impressions, because it got picked up in broadcast and journalistic media because of the story and the fact that once again, Dove was kind of setting the agenda, pointing out an issue and getting women to help them solve it, and it travelled a long way beyond Facebook.
And was it a global campaign?
So it is a global campaign. We actually started off, we launched it in Australia and Brazil because they were two of the markets, but Brazilian women in particular are voracious users of social media. I think they're probably the heaviest users of social media in the world, and we had a really strong community of, I think it was around 1 million women that we could reach out to there. So it started there, and we're in the process of now rolling it out to a selection of other markets, including I believe the US. It's also launched in the UK as well.
And how could you measure the ROI of this campaign?
The measuring the ROI was always an interesting one, because for an activity like this, the goal straight up was never to we haven't actually gone through the effectiveness process in each of the markets and seen if there was a spike in sales. Actually, the campaign itself ran over the course of a week to 10 days as well, so it's quite difficult to isolate that. What we've measured is the effectiveness of the communications. It hasn't yet been connected back to the business case. In terms of the communications itself, the effectiveness of it, we measured in terms of the how it took the brand story out into the mainstream media, the number of women that got involved with it, how it increased the viral reach of the brand, and the number of potentially negative pieces of advertising that it could displace in the period of time that it was running as well. And those were all had a very substantial scale to them.
What was actually, when you presented this idea to the client, to Unilever, what was the kind of the goal of the campaign? How did you
the goal of the campaign was to bring the brand's point of view on beauty, to involve women, bring the brand's point of view on beauty up into the digital age. So it was about continuing to identify the central insight that has powered Dove since the days of Campaign for Real Beauty, is that beauty is a source of anxiety, not of happiness, to women, and that actually whether it's the kind of the magazine industry or negative Facebook advertising, that what's termed the beauty industry actually makes women feel ugly. And the idea of the campaign was to bring that point of view and to make it felt in Facebook where we'd spotted a problem. So there was a quite higher order purpose to the campaign. As yet, we haven't been able to measure any subsequent sales spikes, having seen the communications work effectively as a piece of comms. But that will be the next step once we've got a more global picture.
But you said that it was just a 1-week campaign.
Yes.
But why so short? Because the idea as such would
because the way that the campaign was set up originally, I believe the plan is now, as we roll it out into other markets, for it to run for longer. But actually, it's because of the way that the campaign works, it's also quite an expensive thing to do over an extremely long period of time. And what we're really looking to do was to put the issue on the map. Subsequently, following the campaign, we received that there was quite a bit of chatter. I don't know if it was entirely coincidental about Facebook subsequently revising the way that people were able to advertise to women and whether or not they were allowed to negatively target using keywords. Now, as I said, that might just be coincidence, but if we would be very happy with a world where that was no longer possible, because it makes women feel bad. And so as an end goal in itself, we felt that justified the activity.
So the main positive outcome, like from the result point of view, was the PR value you got? Yes,
so I'd say there were probably three positive outcomes, one of which is the PR value of the story itself. Secondly was an awareness of an issue that actually no one else had ever raised before. So one of the most remarkable things is when we ran the campaign, we started some chatter in Dove's Facebook community beforehand, just asking questions about whether or not women had noticed it, and it actually was like opening a valve. It was something that a lot of women had noticed and found quite disconcerting. And the last thing was getting that trying to raise it in such a way that something would be done about it. Additionally, we also surveyed women before and after the campaign about whether it made them feel any better or made them feel more beautiful, and something like 70 to 75% of women said that they felt better having taken part or seen the brand doing something about it. And if your kind of mission as a brand is to help women feel more beautiful about who they are, that was something that this certainly achieved as well. The sales impact will have to be measured once we've got a more global picture, I think.
But do you actually know how many women sent this message to the
yeah, it was in the thousands rather than the tens of thousands. What's interesting about campaigns like this is that the participation model looks something like a pyramid. So you have thousands of women interacting with the app and then sending it on to make it, going all the way through and making advertising. There's a second layer of women who then which then scales up quite considerably, so you're talking into the tens of thousands, who see a piece of this positive advertising or interact with it. So we got our viral reach as a brand increased by about 40% during the course of this activity, which basically means that women are hearing about Dove entirely through their friends and their friends interacting with the brand. So there was this ripple effect at the second layer with women interacting with it and talking about it, liking the issue, reposting it, and then there's a third layer of women who it's reaching through journalistic media, etc., who are spectators to the matter. So there's 3 different tiers of involvement with the campaign.
And the women who decided to share it, was there a possibility to share it with all of your friends or on all your female friends?
Yeah, I mean,
only one friend.
Oh, so when I should be clear about this, is that when women went through the app and made a piece of advertising, it automatically did 3 things. So we arranged the media buy in Facebook to take advantage of their ad formats, so that firstly, you got to select from a drop-down menu a selection of different keywords that you'd like to put it against. So I'd like to send this ad to women who are thinking about love or about sport. That wouldn't just be pushed out to your friends, that would be pushed out to all the women on Facebook who fall within this profile target in your country. So it really went far beyond your friendship group. Secondly, it would be posted to the profile of the woman who made the ad, so that all of her immediate friends would hear about it. And thirdly, we bought quite a lot of concentrated media in sponsored story formats, which are the kind of the key formats that sit at the top right that notify women when 2 or 3 of their other friends have interacted with a page or with a brand, and which have a very, very strong circular effect in driving. So what would happen is that women would make the ad, it would go out to the wider community, their friends would see it, and then it would also feed into a sponsored story format that would subsequently drive more women back to the app to make ads and to push out the advertising.
So that the total exposure of the ad itself, let's say if in Brazil,
yeah.
The ad was targeted to women who are thinking of bikini shape or something, then this would be actually millions of women.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking in probably hundreds of thousands at a time. Okay. So it had.
So the reach of the ad was actually.
The reach was extremely high, yes, because we tried as best we could to. There was a quite cautious trade-off between reach and relevance, so trying not to continually bombard a particular group of women with the same piece of advertising, but getting to them in situations where it was really relevant to them as well, because the idea is that we wanted to block any potentially negative advertising.
Okay, did it require any special treatment from Facebook, or was it all available? I mean, if any other agency or client would love to do that, is it like a standard thing, or is it something that...
So it had never been done before. So there was an early period when we were making the campaign where Facebook were very helpful and engaged with us in making this happen. It had never been done before, and so there was a very early stage where we realised that we were forging new territory, and that whatever it was, that there was no best practice to follow. There was no road that had already been laid, we had to kind of figure out the best way to do it. And they partnered with us and were extremely helpful in doing that. We also have a quite terrific section of social strategists at this agency who were able to help us finesse this into something that really worked very well in Facebook. The other thing was that obviously conversation around the topic, it existed within Facebook as a campaign. People tend to take to Twitter to talk about these things, so it spilt over into other social channels once it became a news story quite quickly.
Okay. You want to ask something?
Yeah, just one question. Shall I stand here so my...
Yeah, that's okay.
No, I mean,
look at the
yeah.
camera.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay.
Okay, I'll just sit in. Question about organisation.
Yes.
Obviously, Ogilvy is a massive organisation with lots of different offices and people like the social strategists, and you've got Ogilvy One and Ogilvy Advertising, and you've got offices in Brazil and Australia. Yeah. How did it all work?
It was actually done with a very small and agile team, meeting daily, often twice a day, working with Unilever's partners in and local teams in Australia, Brazil, and the global team. So we had a team of, I think it was 4 or 5 creatives, myself as the agency strategist, an account director, a creative technologist, and a digital producer, with a core team working here. And we also at various points enlisted the help of 2 or 3 social strategists working in our PR agency and in Ogilvy and Mather, and we were working into a global client with their global head of kind of their social program, who then partnered with the local market teams who put the investment in behind the social activity in each of their markets, and who also we also worked with their global PR agency Edelman to help blow it out as a big PR story. So there were people, as is the nature of these campaigns, involved in lots of different markets. In terms of the agency itself, this was done out of Ogilvy London with quite a tight and pretty agile crew of people very involved with the project. And that was one of the key learnings for us, is that for stuff like this, we set ourselves a pretty harsh and fast deadline to do it, and it happened quite quickly, but that was because we had quite a fluid and tight-knit group working on it.
When it was exactly done? What was the timing?
I believe it was Q1 or Q2 of last year, and it from start to finish it probably took less than 2 months, 3 months to do. So.
And now you're planning to do it in other markets
yes.
as well?
So I've been sent a list more recently of all the markets that they're doing it in. The only one that I can remember off the top of my head was that they were doing it in North America. One of the reasons that that was the case is that when the campaign went live in Brazil and Australia, the other thing that was really fascinating about it was not only did it spill over as a PR story from Facebook into other social media and into broadcast news media, it also went international very quickly. So there was a great deal of pickup in North America, and they were asking, when can you bring this campaign and this app to North America and our Facebook community as well. So we're looking to kind of meet the demand there.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot.
Is it